I get
Sounds
to
good.
speak to a number of interesting people in the show and often invite people onto the show who do interesting jobs. Now, Chloe Elmore, she is a full time voiceover actor.
Mhm.
I've done a little bit of voiceover myself. I know other people who have, but I've never met anyone who actually does it as a full time gig. So, good morning and welcome to the program, Chloe.
Thank you for having me, Lizzie. It's great to be here.
Voiceover full time, how did that come about?
Well, to cut a long story short, I actually had a prophecy from my church catch the fire about 4 years ago when I was waiting tables, and I had been doing that for 10 years. And the prophecy was that God was going to delight my heart by causing my passion to be my source of income. And,
Awesome.
I waited. Yeah, it was really, really wild. And I waited for 3 years, sort of for the, I guess, opening or the fulfillment of that. And yeah, during COVID, I had been out of drama school 10 years ago. I had been doing part-time voice acting with my agent. Um, but during COVID, that was really hard to do. So long story short, I ended up getting my own booth and just felt like God was sort of saying, "This is the time. Quit your day job at Lululemon and do this sort of, just like it was a leap of faith. It was like self-employment is a faith walk, and I didn't actually have an idea of what I was getting into at that time, praise God. But yeah, I just felt like he was saying, leap off the cliff, quit other sources of income and just like rely on me for this, and it's going to delight your heart, and it has proven to be so.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the way you say, I got this prophecy and then I had to wait for all these years and
Yeah.
then it started to happen. That waiting season, oh my
Mm.
gosh, isn't that
Yeah.
difficult?
Oh, I could have a preach right now on it, but it is truly, this is why we have people like Abraham who waited for 25 years for the fulfillment. And I just keep thinking, don't birth an Ishmael, don't birth an Ishmael, wait for the right time.
Amen. I remember the other year, last year, when I had a similar thing with my a house, and I had
Yeah.
to wait. And I remember sometimes, I don't know about you, but I remember getting really down in the waiting, and thinking, "Oh,
Yeah.
have I got it wrong?" And all those things. And then somebody saying to me, pretty much the Ishmael thing. They were like, "Hey, just I know it's hard, but it's going to be worth it." And this
Yeah.
person was sort of saying how they'd sort of, in times in their lives of trials, because that's what it is,
Mm,
they'd sort of stepped out and perhaps short circuited it. And they said, don't do
mm,
what I did. And, I
mm,
wasn't planning on it, but that waiting, oh my goodness,
mm,
that is just the hardest
mm,
thing, right?
mm. I often think that it's like a time of training as well, where God's preparing us, because I think sometimes when there's a prophecy, God gives us a prophecy because he's like, hey, this is going to be really hard. And I just want you to know that this is me behind this. And so in the waiting, it's not a passive waiting. It's like an active waiting of in a training ground. Like it's a boot camp in a way for being on the field. And I certainly found that with myself, like just learning and growing. And because if I had just gone into it right off the bat, I probably would have had a very idealistic view of it. But when you've waited, when you get there, you can go through the hard times because you've waited. And it's like, wow, I was trained for this. I've got through it. And because I waited so long, I know this is it. And I
Yeah.
think that's certainly how I see it for myself.
Yeah, it's like he
Yeah.
he works on your character, right? He kind of works
Oh,
on your character by breaking your heart a little bit. Uh,
yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Just a bit.
it is, and I mean, we won't talk about this the whole time, but that process is really that process of where from death comes life. God allows something, He gives us a promise, then He allows something to die in us, and then we're like,
Yes.
oh my goodness, is this ever going to happen? And then it does
Mm,
happen, and it's better than you
mm.
imagined, right?
Oh, amen. And sort of tying that in for me with my voice acting is I've had so much criticism over the 30 years of my life. Um, so much criticism around my voice.
Oh,
And I've realized it's been like a spiritual attack against my area of ministry. I see it as my ministry. And I see it like some of it is God's correction and disciplining, but a lot of it has been an outright attack. And I've sort of noticed that through the years of just going, gosh, people have always said I talk too much, I'm too loud, or da 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 da, and um, and I know that God is,
Using your
there's been
voice.
that fight.
Well, don't worry,
Yeah.
you're speaking my language. I was always told at
Yeah.
school I talk too
Yeah.
much, so I hear you. So
Yeah.
now with, the way the world is, I'm guessing that you've got
Yes.
clients all over the world, have you?
That's right, I do. I do have clients in Scotland and Ireland and mainly the US, of course, and a bit of Canada and the UK. Yeah, mainly the US and the UK. Oh, and probably 10% of my work is actually in New Zealand.
10%.
Um,
That's funny. So
yeah.
obviously, from having these different, clients from around the world, you would have to be the master of accents, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, and I was actually thinking I was talking about it with my family today. I was like, "Should I disclose on Christian radio that, I've been duplicitous?" And sometimes I've totally faked live directed sessions with some Canadian clients and
What does
Irish
it
clients,
matter?
and I've just
They want
it's
you're creating a sound for them, right? And you are a voice
yeah,
actor. So how much
yeah.
they know is acting and how much is your true voice? I mean, I just think that's great. And people, what's your favorite accent? Can you give us an accent now?
Yeah, yeah.
What about a nice
Um
Irish accent?
That's right. Nice Irish accent. See, actually, recently I auditioned for something that they said, please do not audition for this unless you have a legitimate Northern Irish accent. And I was like, you know what? They're gonna listen to it anyway, and they'll find out if I'm not. They'll hear it. They're locals, right? So I thought I'm just gonna go for it and do it anyway.
And what
And
happened?
in the end, they said, we've shortlisted you, Chloe. We love your voice. And I'm learning honesty as a Christian. It's the fruit of the spirit and that kind of thing. So I did email them and I said, look, I have Irish heritage, but I don't have the accent myself anymore. uh,
Did you get the job?
the truth, I did get the job. I did. So my voice is somewhere out on a television commercial in Northern Ireland right now,
Oh, I love
which I think
that.
is really
What about give us a bit of an American accent?
well. The standard American accent is kind of like this, and you just sort of talk about I don't know, anything. If you're sitting back and relaxing, I do meditations in an American accent sometimes, and I just say, if you're just peaceful and breathing and exhale all the stress out of your entire body, out of every pore of your face, just get rid of the stress. Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of voiceover work?
Oh, I think since I started in acting, it's always character work.
Yeah.
You don't make the money through that, but
No.
that is the cream of the crop for me. So video games and animations, and I play a few characters on a Zuru animations. They're the rainbow corns. So I play some boo boo corns, some fairy corns, some kitten corns and puppy corns, which I think is funny. And then in quite a dark video game that I wouldn't even watch myself,
Okay. Well, we
as
won't mention that
a
one.
Scottish wench. No, yeah. But I get to be like a northern chicken
Oh, a
and
northern chicken.
yeah, yeah.
It
That's
talks a little bit like that. And she gets all like nervous and angry. And she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
that is so cool. I love that. So, yeah, I mean, who'd have thought, eh? God gave you that word.
I
It took a
know.
while, and now
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't spoken. You and we've met a few times over the years, and I haven't spoken to you for a number of years. I haven't seen you, but it's funny because we're talking over Zoom, but I can just sense off you this real centeredness. You seem
Yeah.
really like you've found your place, right?
Yeah. And I think I'm a late bloomer because I'm 30, and I think a lot of people, maybe especially Christians, because we really know that God's guiding us, but we probably feel like we should arrive a little bit earlier at knowing God's call and knowing our purpose and all that kind of thing. And I feel like I found my thing at 30, but
You're not a late bloomer, believe me. I've got to
yeah.
places later than you. I call
Yeah.
myself a late bloomer. Maybe it's just a thing of you get a bit older and you know who you are a bit more, and God saves the
Yeah.
best till later.
Amen. And I think one thing that also helps me really feel centered is knowing that you know, my job is connecting people. It's making my listeners feel deeply connected with, even if it's commercials and it's like I'm on a Tim Tam commercial at the moment, and just knowing that I'm talking to a real person and communicating something with them. And when I'm in my booth, I just imagine I'm talking to Jesus. Actually, I'll be reading sort of, a cybersecurity sort of thing, or say Tim Tams, for example. I'll be like, "Hey, Jesus, you know, you want to be, do you want to eat a biscuit that's filled with extra gooey caramel coated with luscious Tim Tam chocolate, and because it's a real connection." And so
I hear you.
when
I get that from
when
being in radio. So
yeah.
So if people are listening and they're like, one, they want to hire a voiceover actor, or two, they just want to, have a listen to some of the things that you do. Have you got a website?
I do. It is www.chloevoices.com, and I am always keen to collaborate with any new people. And yeah, I've got a whole range of what I do on there, and in many different accents and different sort of all my different genres.
ChloeVoices.com. Well, you know what, Chloe, it's great to catch up with you again today, and I love the way that you heard God's call. It was difficult, but you pursued it, and now you're reaping your obedience, right? And He's giving you your heart's desire. That is so great.
He's so good. He's
Awesome.
so,
Thanks for your time.
so good.
Catch you next time.
Thanks,
I'll
Lizzie.
listen out for you on the Tim Tam ad.